So, what is the routine of a principal clarinet in a Bel Ready Orchestra?
So the general routine would be that we get a plan for a whole season, which changes sometimes still a little. Some projects are cancelled, there come new projects, auditions are coming in later, but usually you get a plan for a whole season when you can see which weeks are busy and in which weeks we play what repertoire. And there are morning rehearsals that go into the afternoon, sometimes there are afternoon rehearsals. The recording sessions are during daytime mostly, and then there are concerts every week. And we had weeks with 3 concerts, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or sometimes also weeks where we just had concerts on Friday and Saturday. And apart from that, there are like auditions and also meetings. We have several little groups in the orchestra who organize things and who talk to the management and who also talk about repertoire and programs. That was an additional thing to do.
Why did you leave the orchestra?
Well, it was not an easy decision. So I loved orchestra playing very much. I was still a couple of months before I got offered the teaching position. I would say I'm never leaving the orchestra at all. No way. I'm not going to leave my Mahler, Bruckner, Tchaikovsky, Brahms symphonies and whatever. But I had been doing it for quite a while, and I started out in the Deutsche Kammerphilharmonie when I was only 22, still studying, and then after 2 years, I changed to the WDR Symphony Orchestra, and so I've been there for 17 years, and then I got offered this opportunity to teach at my current university. And in the beginning I said, yes, I'm going to try this and I'm going to do this, but I'm never going to leave the orchestra. And after 6 or 8 weeks into the teaching job, I thought, maybe I'm going to leave the orchestra, because I simply fell in love with teaching. And every orchestra musician knows what it feels like to be part of this collective, to be part of a breathing body of 100 or more musicians on stage who are performing a symphony, and with accuracy and with perfection and with momentum, and that's something incredibly wonderful. But I found out that teaching gives me a different sense of pleasure, also of fulfillment, because I'm working with people and I get to help people to develop, to grow, and I totally fell in love with that. Then after 19 years, so almost 20 years of orchestra playing, I thought it would be a good idea to go a different path, to take a different path from now. And since I think you can be a good teacher only when you're around and when you're really there for students, I quit the orchestra. And for 2 years I did both until the ink was dry on the on the official document that made me a professor for life. I played orchestra and I taught at the same time, which was incredibly demanding. But then in 2018 I played my final weeks in the orchestra and stopped playing there regularly. And I have never regretted it since, because what I get to do with young people and with people who trust me, who rely on me, who depend on me, who look up to me in the best sense, but I'm also getting a lot from them, so I don't regret it at all.
That's a very interesting evolution. But connecting with the students that you said before, how do you, in your new university, how do you make them better? Do you have any method? What is your idea of teaching? Can you talk about that, please?
Well, a teacher who's been doing this for a while has a lot of tricks up her sleeve. So, of course, I have my little things that I do with students, that I make them practice, that I try to install in them so they become better instrumentalists. But the main thing about teaching is I think you have to love every student. And you have to try and see the person that is in front of you, and that is nothing you can say I'm doing this the same with every student, because every person is different. And I feel like the challenge of being a good teacher is to take yourself back. It's not about me. I'm merely a mirror, or I used to say to my students, I'm an extra pair of ears. And I'm also somebody who gives them the feeling that they're understood and that they're seen. And that I'm very serious, but also genuine about wanting them to be better and wanting them to feel invisible. So it's not so much like you do this exercise like for a year and then you're going to be brilliant. Yes, of course, also that. But it's more like I try to make the students hear what I hear and feel what I feel when I go on stage. And hearing what I hear is different because they don't have the 20-year experience, but I can sit on the piano and play for them, or I can sing, or I can explain why this chord is so amazing and why there is a certain tension in the last bar before a trill in a Mozart concerto, the second movement, because it's a chord that creates expectation. And I feel that every time I play it, because I've played it many times. I have it in my system, and I try to share what I hear and what I feel, and create an environment for students so they can feel they are seen and appreciated. And I am interested in any of my students in the same way, but I'm treating them differently because they're all different people.
You teach French and German system, right? The students. What do you feel is the difference, or how do you see these still two different systems in the world?
I think both systems have their flaws and their virtues, basically. Of course, I'm a German clarinet player, and I cherish very much the possibilities that the German clarinet gives me as far as sound and the many different ways I can use the keys for the same notes that change the color and the sound and the intonation. But also there are benefits to the French system, and in general, I'm much more interested in the person who's playing the system than in the system itself, because you can sound good or not so good on any clarinet. And so I'm interested in musical personalities. I'm interested in artistry and what somebody can say with the instrument, how they can express themselves on the instrument, rather than does he play French or German. And funny thing is, when I left the orchestra, I used to play with French players more, because in an orchestra like WDR Köln, we don't have French clarinet players. But I'm playing Mahler Chamber Orchestra, for example, or I play chamber music in chamber music festivals, and there were mostly, because it was international, there were mostly French players. And I've found out that it doesn't matter so much. It's more about what imagery of sound, what idea of sound and of phrasing does a musician have. And when they're professionals and they both hear well, it's absolutely no problem to play German and French together and blend it in a way that is not only working for intonation, but also like sound, and it's beautiful. So I find it very interesting also to make the students see that, because we can both learn from each other. The skill and technical smoothness that we have sometimes with French clarinetists is something that we German clarinetists can try to pick up. And with my French clarinet students, I'm trying to help them find the colors and the big, the many shades of sound and coloring we can do in the German clarinet system. And anyway, I mean, when I studied, it was very different. There was German and French. And nowadays we have German clarinet, we have French clarinet, we have Viennese clarinet, we have reformed boom or reformed French clarinet. And also the German clarinet players, they use French mouthpieces and French reeds. So I kind of like that development, because I'm somebody who's very much against dogmatic dogmatic structures. I like to think that we all are looking for beautiful, rich, full sound and brilliant technique with whatever system.
Well, you already gave a lot of advices, but is there any last advice that you would like to give to the Clarinetistas del Futuro?
Mit Angst kann man keine Musik machen. And the phrase that Hans Deinzer said to us, to all of us, meaning you can't be afraid and then make music, or you cannot enjoy music when you're afraid. And that would be the advice I have for you. Yes, go practice. Practice the hell out of your instrument. Practice your scales, practice your staccato, but also train your ears and train your heart, because we're nothing without the heart that we put in the music. We can be the fastest, and we can be the fastest in trills and the fastest with the tongue, and we can play all those notes really fast and really loud and really soft. But that's not it. It's about enjoying the music in the instrument. It's about knowing the score, knowing what part you play in this repertoire, in this period of music. So be open and try to learn everything about the pieces you play in order to enjoy it, because everything else is just craftsmanship. Everything else is just gymnastics, exercise, and we need to go out there and be fierce and not be afraid, but put our hearts in the music and play. Mit Angst kann man keine Musik machen.